Hello everyone and welcome back to FilmBook Review, an official YouTube channel of FilmBook. Featured in Google News, IMDb's news desk, and a member of the Critics' Choice Association, FilmBook is an entertainment industry news website that reports on the film and television show industries in the United States and across the world. Today on FilmBook Review, I will be reviewing the film Babysitter, a movie that screened at the 2022 Tribeca Film Festival. Babysitter is directed by Monia Chokri, written by Catherine Laguerre, and stars Patrick Hivon, Monia Chokri, Nadia Terets-Guix, Steve Laplante, and Hubert Prul. This is a Babysitter movie review, and there will be spoilers. If you like our movie reviews, please like this Babysitter film review, as that helps us out with YouTube's algorithm, and consider subscribing. Once subscribed, click the bell notification box and you're all set. Please also consider becoming one of our patrons on Patreon at patreon.com/filmbook. And now, the Babysitter movie review. Babysitter is a visceral comedy with unexpected heights and depths woven into its satire on misogyny, adapted by Catherine Ledger from her own 2017 play. At first, we might be tempted to think this film is about the journey of Cedric, an upper-middle-class engineer whose televised drunken amorous assault on a female reporter forces him to face the consequences of his misogyny at the risk of his job and reputation. Or maybe it's about scrutinizing Nadine, Cedric's partner and mother of his child, steeped in postpartum depression. But I think the real nugget of the story lies with Leia, their infant daughter, as the next generation of women and their place in a changing society. This colicky infant starts out as the passive catalyst that sets the events in motion, but by the film's end, she represents more than that. But more on Leia's more poignant role later. Until then, despite the weighty issue of misogyny, this begins as a breezy farce. Rapid-fire quips about boobs and buns accompany close-ups of Cedric and his companions among the rowdy audience at an MMA match. Miss Chokri fully enjoys correlating the fighter's brutal intimacy in the ring with Cedric's crude repartee with his friends. There is an especially gripping scene of the fighters grappling on the canvas, smearing blood everywhere. Brings out the diverted eroticism they share. Following this is the inciting incident. Cedric forces a drunken embrace on a prominent reporter, Chantal Tremblay, right on camera, no less, followed by a tirade of chauvinistic insults. To make matters worse, the entire fiasco is reported in print the next day by Cedric's own brother, Jean-Michel, a journalist, which draws the attention of Cedric's boss, Bridget, who suspends him indefinitely until he makes the penance. There is a fair amount of slapstick that brings the babysitter into the picture. Suffice it to say that the family flounders with wry humor, especially Cedric, now saddled with fretful Leia while he writes an apologia by way of a tell-all confessional, which will hopefully bolster his bank account as he purges his psyche. At about this point, Amy skates into their lives, full of candor and giggles. She has a knack for flipping banter to her advantage, but unflinching audacity is her real power, a one-size-fits-all sort of muse in the guise of a homecoming queen. She claims to resemble Brigitte Bardot, and maybe she does, but she reminds me more of Brandy the Roller Girl in Boogie Nights instead, with a bit of Lolita tossed in. Amy confronts those around her with quiet, gentle confidence. For Cedric, she's exactly the tween we've all come to expect from young women of barely legal age, toying with adulthood by caring for someone else's baby, nothing more than to populate a fantasy. But evidently, Amy is like a magical grandmother to Leia. She comforts the fussy infant like neither of her parents can. To Nadine, Amy is a walking Disneyland vacation. She puts the harried mother in a wide-colored cape, similar to that of the evil queen in Snow White, but in lavender silk that confers all of the dignities of royal service instead of the black shroud of stepmotherly vengeance. For Jean-Paul, sunbathing with her charge in the backyard, she actually becomes the nymphet Lolita. Nadia Terets-Guix fits the bill nicely. She brings all their quiet freshness to Amy. The actors all around, with the help of tip-top editing, bring the sense of hijinks necessary to this sort of comedy. Director Monia Chokri, as Nadine, has more depth by design by battling depression and she conveys a feeling of resigned futility very well. Patrick Yvonne's work, his subtle handsomeness, and fits into Cedric's conscripted attitude role of the prosperous suburbanite. The women fare better than the men when it comes to a range of expressions, and they seem to get more benefit from Amy's ministrations. The men pretty much stay mired in chauvinism. Jean-Michel steals his brother's book deal for himself. Bridget's male subordinates accuse her of that old come-hither, back-off tactic. Cedric, on the other hand, does learn better, the hard way, and realizes Nadine's value as a partner. He reconciles with her in a brief, sweet moment in their final scene together. But it's Leia who actually gets in the final word, suggesting that Babysitter is something more than a romp with social commentary. She's a toddler in one of the final scenes, watching Jean-Michel's interview on television about his bestseller challenging systemic misogyny. Her expression tells all. She understands it, deep down, for the dissembling that it is. And later, maybe, as part of the next generation of tweens herself, she can choose to skate past all the politics and make the best peace. Of course, it's a given that the issue of misogyny is one among more than a few that must be resolved, hopefully sooner than later. But by the same token, social progress is refinement, a process, not an event, and that we shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And that brings us to the conclusion of this Babysitter movie review. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it below in the comments section. If you liked what you heard during this review, please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Please also visit and subscribe to our podcast channel at FilmBook Podcast and our trailer and reaction channel at FilmBook Trailers. Thank you for viewing, and you can watch one of these reviews next.